All right. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, hello. I'm Jami from Alternative Healthcare Solutions. I'm the founder and the CEO of this amazing new, movement, this new culture shift. I don't know what to call it other than a community of healing. It is really it is something that I've been very passionate about. My company that I do every day is called The Body in Repair, and I am a nutritional health coach. Um, and oh gosh, Olga's having troubles finding the the live session. Um, Here, let's help Olga get in here. All right, for those of you who can't see it, you're going to go into sessions on the left-hand side. Okay, so my company is a Body in Repair, and regeneration is the first primary protocol that I take people through. So regeneration is a 90-day program that I'll talk about in a little bit later. I also have a book on Amazon. I am a speaker and an author, and my focus is to help people reverse autoimmune diseases. So in a minute here, you're going to see why and how I got started. But first of all, this is me and my husband, who Joshua is on here today. And this was our wedding day almost 2 years ago. We eloped in Hawaii. And the companies that I have is a Body in Repair. Like I said, that's my autoimmune disease. And then the Alternative Healthcare Solutions, which is where you are today and why you're here. So it all kind of started because of this crew right here. I wanted to find something that I could work from home. These are the 5 of my children that are still living at home with us. I actually have 7 children, and my husband has 4. So we have a complete gaggle of kids. But this is Benjamin and Erilyn and Bowen, Evelyn and Oliver. And like I said, these are just the 5 still living at home. I also have my son Zachary and his fiancee Brittany, who they are going to be getting married here in September. So it's just like right around the corner. It's like 70 some days. It's hard to believe. And then my son Ezekiel and his girlfriend Lauren, which we're hoping they're going to get married soon too. Just waiting for an announcement any day. And then these are my 4 stepsons. This is Caleb and Jake and Wolfie and Alistair, and they are just fantastic boys. We are really, really blessed in the children department, so especially for as many as we have, right? So this is kind of where my story starts. This is my dad and my mom. They were basically a couple that's been together since they were 16 and 18. They raised 9 children together and lost a son in a car wreck, and my brother, who was 13 at the time. And they've seen many tragedies in their life. But one tragedy was this particular time. My dad was diagnosed with blood clots, and those blood clots began in his pulmonary artery, and they went down all the way into both ankles. So it was one continuous blood clot, and that basically sent him into the emergency room for emergency surgery. The surgery was a failed surgery. They tried to do a clot buster from the ankles on up, and they said there's nothing we can do. They said he has type 2 diabetes. They said that they're going to have to amputate one or both of his legs. And they said the surgery failed. And they basically said, pick your nursing home. My dad was 55 years old at the time, and he was just plummeted out. His testosterone levels were 0. So if you know anything about testosterone levels, when they're really low, you have no drive for life. You're just ready to give up. And my dad was pretty much at his lowest point in that time in his life. So the doctors just basically said, there's nothing we can do, pick your nursing home. So we did. We picked the top rated nursing home that we could find with the best dietitian. And the first day that this dietitian came into my dad's bedroom, she looked at him and said, well, so we're going to put you on a weight loss protocol, and we're going to focus on, helping you to lose weight. But she said that what they were going to do is basically do a portion control diet. And so she said, you can have the same foods that you had before, but you're going to have them in smaller quantities. So that was the first step that she did. And then she basically listed off the menu for that day. And she said, you can have a cheeseburger, but it's going to be a smaller cheeseburger. It's not going to be big like you normally have it. She said, you can have baked chips instead of fried. And she said, you can have a fruit cup and you can have sugar-free dessert. And to drink, you can have a Diet Coke, Diet Sprite, Diet Dr. Pepper, Diet Mountain Dew. And I just, as you can imagine, I just went, oh my gosh, stop talking to my dad. Like, this is going to kill him. He's already in so much pain. His legs felt like they were on fire constantly. The edema was so bad in his body that the paramedics were afraid of transporting him, because if his legs were to touch the sides of the ambulance accidentally, then he literally could have busted open like a watermelon and bled to death. And so that was the severity of what we were looking at. But I knew intuitively at the time, I didn't know much about nutrition. I didn't know much about food. I didn't know much about trauma. I didn't know about how amazing our bodies were. But somehow intuitively, I knew that food was going to heal him, and that was going to be the piece that got him out of the hospital, that made the prognosis change. So my mom and I, we literally we had a huge garage sale. We sold everything that we could, and we hired a nutritionist. And that nutritionist taught me and my mom how to feed him. And for 90 days, my mom and my mom took breakfast and I did lunch and dinner, and we would go in there every single day and we would feed him these life-giving foods. After a while, I would say in the beginning, he really was just resistant to it. He was still devastated. He was still hopeless. He was still just kind of, whatever, put the food on the counter, just lifeless. But we continued, and we continued to pray. We continued to bring him food. We continued to encourage him. Family and friends sent in photos, and we just really poured love into him. And 90 days later of changing his diet, he had reversed his type 2 diabetes. He no longer had to have a leg amputation. He had lost over 100 pounds. He was able to walk a mile a day, and he was released from the nursing home. This was life-changing, not just for him, but for me as well. And that's kind of why I was wanting to share this story, because it was how my life changed. And it was the beginning of my journey of really understanding foods, understanding health, understanding mental health, and how these things can affect our lives and can really change the way we're living. Because so many of us are dying. We're not living. We're living in this state of progressing towards death faster and faster. And without that life in us, it's difficult to overcome many things. So anyways, I'm not going to go down too much farther in that, but I will say that this was the beginning. And I had a new understanding of how food could heal your life, how trauma stores in your body. I had a new understanding of many things. And then I thought I was eating healthy. I thought I was doing good. I had just learned all of this information. I completely eradicated our diet in our home and changed as much as I possibly could. However, well, I need to change this slide around. But this has been my philosophy. Leave the drugs in the chemist pot if you can heal the patient with food. That's been my philosophy, and that's where it started, was at that point, learning that these foods were only keeping my dad sick. And they were not, I'm sorry, these drugs were only keeping my dad sick. They were not healing him. They were not helping him get better. So I thought I was eating healthy. I thought I was doing well. I thought that I had, really grabbed onto a new lifestyle. And then my daughter kind of shook my world again. So a couple of years later, this is my daughter Erilyn, when she was 10 years old, she was diagnosed with polyarticular arthritis. And for those of you who don't know, polyarticular arthritis is a very rapid growing arthritis. It begins in the joints, in the small joints, and then it goes throughout the whole body. So every bit of her joints throughout her whole body would have been crippled. She was already showing signs of being crippled. Her hand was already deformed, and her knee was twice the size as her other knee. And it took her into the doctors and just basically was terrified. They told me that she was going to have to be on injections for the rest of her life, and that it was going to be once a week injections, and that they were going to have to put her on pain medicine around the clock, whether she needed it or not. If you can imagine signing your 10-year-old up for injections and pain medicine for the rest of her life, it's a pretty terrifying experience, especially when she's already showing signs of being crippled, already showing signs of being in chronic pain. She went from riding horses and climbing trees and being wild and rambunctious, chasing chickens in our yard. We live on a 13-acre farm, and we went from that to her being in bed every single day for hours and laying there and just in pain. And this child had a very high pain tolerance. And so to see her in pain in bed was very devastating. It was very scary. So that was, that was a very traumatizing event. It was scary to see when the doctors basically, told me that this is what was going to happen with her. One of the things that they informed me was that she was also not to worry about food. That I didn't even need to worry about going gluten free. The doctor told me that there were no studies to prove that food had caused inflammation in the body. So I'm going to tell you right here, right now, that is not true. That is a complete, um, just an untrue statement. There are so many studies out there to prove how inflammation, which nightshades, how microbes can help the body. There's so many studies out there that have been published, and even back then they were published. I think that there is a mindset within the medical community that needs to be overcome, at least for most doctors. So, however, I was very grateful for that time that the doctor said that, because it put this moment of doubt in my mind. It put this seed of doubt to think, okay, maybe she's wrong. Maybe there is hope. Maybe we can address this differently in a more natural approach. But she did say that she was going to be crippled in 8 months if I did not follow their routine and their prescription, which was essentially chemotherapy. So if you can imagine all of the effects of chemotherapy over, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, it can play some pretty devastating effects on the body. So of course, with her, I decided to research and dive deeper and learn how the body can heal, learned about different things that could help treat her. So I went to a natural doctor, and he did a biofeedback reading on her. And basically what that means is that it's a machine that reads all of the frequencies in her body. So our body has frequencies. Everything on earth has frequency. It'll be either a low frequency or, all the way up to a high frequency. And high frequency is where healing is. That's where enlightenment is. That's where spirituality is. That's kind of, higher self, all of that. Low frequencies are pain and disease and fear and just real low energy. So he read her energy, her frequencies of her body, rather, and found that she actually has Lyme disease. So the Lyme disease was actually triggering the autoimmune disease. And that's very common. You'll see that many times there's some sort of virus that will trigger an autoimmune disease. That's another piece of the puzzle for me as to why I put together alternative healthcare solutions. You'll see why in a little bit. But when that happens, when we have trauma and we have um, viruses, we have illnesses, they can also often activate these recessed genes in us and activate autoimmune conditions that can be pretty life crippling. So that was the case with my daughter. And when I took her to this natural doctor, I said, "Okay, doc, we've got Lyme's disease and polyarticular arthritis. What should we do?" So he basically put me on a path of juicing, just straight juice diet, and about $1,000 worth of supplements every single month. And as you can imagine, supplements, like that, to be able to help her were like horse pills. Now, I am not against supplements. I'm pro supplements. I am, again, like I showed you before, it is a matter of heal the patient with food if you can. That's where I start. So when we did this for about 3 weeks with her, and I was really fearful that she was, I wouldn't say fearful, I was very concerned that she was not going to get better and that she was just basically in more trauma. So it was a prison in the natural world. We have a prison in the conventional world, and now you've got a prison in the natural world. And I just didn't feel like it was right. So I finally went to a third doctor and I said, "Okay, doctor, listen, it's my child. I'm going to heal her with food. I have this gut instinct. And I'd like to try, but I need someone to be able to be my support system." Again, another note as to what alternative healthcare solutions is. I said, "I need someone to be my support system. I need resources. I need to be able to help her heal, but also someone to pull the trigger and say, 'Jami, it's time to put her on conventional medicine.'" I needed that backup and that support. And he was perfect. He gave me lots of free resources. He told me which books to read. He gave me testing to find out, allergies and food allergies and sensitivities and things like that. We dove deep into what her body needs. And from there, I developed an entire 90-day program and put her through this 90-day program. And after 90 days, she was completely in remission of both Lyme's disease and the arthritis. Her energy was completely restored. She was out riding horses again, as she is again today, too. Her energy was restored. There was no medication that she was on. She was not even on supplements anymore. And she had life again. She was my vibrant little child again, my tribal woman. And that really spoke to me. But, through this whole process, some of the things that were little key pieces that stuck with me, and I like to call them like pieces of the puzzle that I was pulling together into kind of this bigger picture. But one of the puzzle pieces was the natural doctor looked at her and said, "So what resentment are you holding on to?" And I'm sitting here thinking, resentment? Like, what does he mean? And that was this first thought of how, again, emotional trauma can affect itself in our body, right? And so I was like, that's an interesting thing to say to my daughter. And she kind of just looked at him and she kind of got this like guilty look. And I was like, okay, there needs to be some conversations. But that was just, like I said, that was a piece of the puzzle. And, I started reflecting on my dad and the trauma in his life and what he's been through and saying, okay, well, maybe there's a connection here. In my own life, I had other things going as well. Um, I had a lot that I was dealing with as far as my purpose and um, who I was as a person, and I shouldered too much. And as I was shouldering all these things, my literal shoulder started to be so painful. I just had this pain that would shoot through my shoulder, up my neck, and cause these migraines that would cause me to be completely wiped out for days. And it was a very a very trying time in my life, but I also carry the weight of the world. And so I started to do some inner work on myself. I started to really dive into that, and I I basically decided to come out of my comfort zone, and I had this vision for a culinary arts center. So in 2017, through that process of personal development and wanting to be able to teach and wanting a sense of community, I wanted a piece of uh, community that basically brought people that had different talents all together and bring them to the table. I wanted to be able to teach people how to reverse type 2 diabetes, as I had done with my dad. I wanted to have real conversations. So I opened up the Culinary Arts Center. It was the first commissary kitchen in Columbia, Tennessee. It was a 3,000 square foot commercial kitchen. We had chefs in here. We had pop up restaurants. We had community events. We did a farm to fantastic event where farmers markets would pop up in our backyard, and then we had chefs teaching you how to break down a chicken, how to make noodles from scratch. We had all of these master classes that were just fantastic. And as you can see, this little space right here was a 12 seater kitchen pod that I gave myself to have the space to teach what I really wanted to teach. And I think that this, the point of showing you this was to show you my heart, and that I wanted community. I wanted to bring people together. I wanted to educate people on how to do things. I wanted to showcase other people of talent. Um, and really have this home and this community. So that lasted until 2020, when COVID hit. And when COVID hit, it was a huge blow to our company, and we ended up having to close our doors. For a while there, we launched a program called, let's see, it was called Feed Just One. And it was from the quote Mother Teresa, that if you can't feed 100, feed just one. And so we designed this entire meal prep service where we created foods and complete dishes for families. And when you purchased one, part of the proceeds went to feeding someone who couldn't afford it. So it was kind of a payback, some simple method. And we did that for several months. Chefs volunteered their time, and people donated money, and we fed a lot of people. Then we ended up not being able to keep our doors open any longer after about November, when the new president talked about shutting down once again for the winter, and our business couldn't sustain that. So that basically was very devastating. It took me down to a complete loss. Whenever that happened, I had to really go inward and say, okay, again, I was in this place of giving myself this little bitty space and not really focusing on what my heart and soul and passion was, which was really teaching and healing and bringing about community in that regard. This was more social and fun and exciting, but it was not really my calling. It was my calling has been to help guide people through healing, to lead them through and teach them about different modalities and different understandings of how the body works and how we heal, and how the mind is so connected to the body. So that being said, I went back to school, I studied more, and I put my book on Amazon. So it's still available there on Amazon. It's a 30-day program, basically to take you through just kind of a reset of your health. This is the cookie cutter protocol of getting your body restarted for your metabolism and your mindset and your hormone balancing. So this is really focused on just start here, right? To start here and reset, and then you can start achieving your goals. So that's regeneration. And then I have 90-day regeneration, which is a coaching program that I put my clients through that will basically take them through 90 days of learning how to reverse your autoimmune diseases. We really go into muscle testing. We go into listening to your body. We go into mindset. We go into um, finding foods for your blood type. We do lots of blood work. There's so much that goes on in regeneration, and it's really a tailored program for you to really equip you to learn how to heal your body and to really connect that body and your mind. From there, we have reversed brain tumors. We've reversed thyroid conditions. I had one mama who had thyroid nodules, and she was going in every year to get them checked to see if she had cancer. And she had full body alopecia for 7 years. And 90 days on the program, she came out and she no longer had nodules on her thyroid, and she was growing hair everywhere. And her biggest walk away was that I had hope of what it would do for my body, but I had no idea what it would do for my heart. So that was pretty powerful testimony for me to see that it's really living my purpose and helping people change their lives. So that also just really helped me to understand too that there are different healers out there, and there are different people who have so many transformational processes that I'm only one. I'm one of very many, and that people need to hear these different healers, and they need to hear these different transitional starting points. And there's going to be people in our platform and in our community that's going to resonate with you, and then there's going to be some that don't. So just be open-minded and receive. Just learn that that when these people are talking about, these practitioners are talking about mindset, there's a connection there. When they're talking about trauma in the body, there's a connection there to your autoimmune disease. When they're talking about relationships, it's huge. Relationships was a huge part of the pain that I had on my shoulder and healing from that. So be open to hearing, these different healers and practitioners and what they have to say, and taking a different approach. So with that being said, my journey has led me to this point in my life where I am now opening up the alternative healthcare solutions, and that's where you are today. So we have a collective of healers, and we also have a community that is for everyone to come in and dive deeper into your healing journey, and really see it from a holistic approach. In this community, it's an algorithm-free social media. So that means that their posts aren't going to get buried. When you comment on there, everybody's going to see it. You're going to see content from these healers. You're going to see free offers from these healers. You're going to see their vulnerability as well. This is going to be the community where everybody is gathering to really help each other out. And so I'm super, super excited about that. I can show you really quick. After I'm done with this slide, I'll give you a tour of that community and what we've created. But the Alternative Healthcare Solutions is a virtual health fair as well. And this is the event that you're in. And we will have healers every 2 weeks. We will have a new lineup of workshops and new content for you, new giveaways for you, new understandings is my hope for you to really learn. I'm a homeschooling mom. My 7 children that they've homeschooled their whole lives, and so I really value resources, options, alternative ways. And I feel like everyone needs those in their life, and to basically break free from the cookie cutter response of our healthcare system. And really, like I said, approach the person holistically, the whole mind, body, and spirit. So I want to talk really quick about some of the healers that we have on this platform. This is Tanisha. Tanisha is a wellness empowerment coach. She is helping people reclaiming their health through mindfulness and vegan lifestyle transition. She has an incredible story of reversing her mom's type 2 diabetes and kind of a healing journey for her. She went in to really learn more spiritual modalities and just that empowerment and finding, her true calling. So she's a fantastic coach. I think she is actually going to be teaching a workshop in the next health fair, which would be in 2 weeks, but not today. But you will hear from Amber Bender. Amber Bender is a functional medicine practitioner and an eating psychology coach. I love Amber. She's going to be speaking today. She really helps you get past that. I have guilt because I ate off plan today, or it was 4th of July recently, like 2 days ago. And so it's like, I like having that, well, I shouldn't have had that brownie, or I shouldn't have had that drink, or I shouldn't have had whatever. And it's really, she helps you to transform that, to go past the guilt and the shame that we put on ourselves that continuously traumatizes us and sabotages our mindset. I think that's the key, is that it's sabotaging your own mindset. So she really helps us to have a perspective on your body and the healing that your body can do. And she also, like today, she's going to be talking about eating by your DNA. So really going into that blood work and understanding your DNA and what your body is made from. Genetically, we pull from 6 generations. So if you think about that, 6 generations ago, you may not have known your ancestors and how they ate and what they ate, but that was how your DNA was formed. And so it really is essential that you understand why or what your DNA is, and how you can tailor your diet for that, and what you're preconditioned to. So anyways, Amber Bender is fantastic. She's also gone through personal trials of eating disorders and things of that nature, and she's been healed of a lot. So I highly encourage you to attend her workshop today. And then we also have McCall LeBaron. So McCall is a functional medicine practitioner and a genetic disorder coach. So she really focuses on those genetic disorders. She's healed herself of many. She has an incredible story of when she was a child and going through some transitions that were upsetting to her nervous system, and they didn't know what was going on, but it basically left her paralyzed in bed and chronically sick and for most of her life. And it also caused a lot of fear. So she was just a very fearful person and had to live in this world of, oh no, that water's not safe, this water is safe, and these supplements are safe and this food is not. And she just continuously stayed in fear, and it really disrupted her nervous system. So she was operating in her sympathetic nervous system. So she talks a lot about that, and she's a fantastic coach. She's a coach, a practitioner, a specialist. She's all of it. She's fantastic. I think you're really going to love her. She also has recently had been misdiagnosed when she was getting her prescription done for her glasses, and it caused brain damage. And so she's in the middle of reversing that brain damage that was done. So, and in a very holistic, natural way. And she's, I think, about 6 months in, and she's almost completely healed, which is fantastic. For those of you who don't know a lot about brain damage, it can take up to 6 years to heal, or 7 years rather, for your brain to repair itself. So she's a wealth of information, and we should be hearing from her, I think, next month. So she's got some workshops lined up. And then that also leads us into Alan Phillips. He's an emotional resilience coach and a relational energetics coach. There are so many certificates behind this man's name that this is just what we're highlighting in the Alternative Healthcare Solutions platform. This man, Alan, is phenomenal. He is just one of those really foundational guys that can help you really understand emotional resilience. We all have trauma in our life. We all will be facing things that are devastating. One of my employees just the other day said I had to call in sick or call off for the day because a friend had died. And we never know, right? Life is so fragile. Life can be gone the next day. But Alan's specialty, where he really shines, is helping you to be resilient in those times, to really keep you in an emotionally healthy state of being when life gets really tragic. So when you've gone through so much trauma and you're dealing with so much emotional trauma in your body, it can affect you so much on a physical level. I'm just kind of referring back to my dad on this as well as an example. You know, my dad had lost his son in a car wreck, and he had also, his father had committed suicide when he was young. So there was a lot of emotional trauma that really just my dad carried and has in his body. And so I want to bring awareness and education to that perspective, and really to help you to understand that the people have been there, people have healed, people have been in those dark places and they've transformed. So there's hope for you. Alan has also been in that place of transformation himself, and he has gone through divorce and suicidal thoughts and all of that in his darkest times, and really transformed his whole life. And now he is a fantastic speaker and workshop host and coach. I can't say enough good about him. So then we also have Vishad, who is a mindset transformer. Again, I want to just point out, not to be redundant here, but mindset is huge when it comes to healing. Mindset is everything. Our body is so powerful. We are so connected to our mind. In fact, our mind is so powerful that if you believe you can't heal, you won't. And it'll be true. If you believe you can heal, you will. It's a powerful it is a powerful tool. I don't know how else to say it. It is incredible the way we were designed and created, and how we continue to be created. And then we have Tanya Baldwin. So Tanya is the newest healer on our platform, and I'm excited about her as well. Some of you may have seen my lives and talk about her. We just instantly hit it off. Whenever I met her, I was just like, oh my gosh. And we just like, our energy just was just in sync. We're like, yes, you can heal. People need to know that you can heal. People need to know that your diagnosis does not have to be your prognosis. And that was what was true for Tanya. Tanya was diagnosed with MS. And her life, she says her brain was basically a chemical brain. She was so filled with prescription medicine. She's actually a nurse as well. So she really went the conventional route when she was first diagnosed and explored all of that, but started to see all of the devastating effects that conventional medicine had on her. And she also had gone through so much emotional trauma as a child and through, early adult life. And she knew she was a healer. She knew that she had things to give to this earth and to people. And she just didn't know how she was so sick and how she was going to overcome that. So Tanya went through this process and really decided, she came to this fork in her life where it was, on one hand, Do I order the wheelchair because I'm almost completely crippled, or do I heal myself naturally and go into that healing world? And so she decided to go into the healing world, and she decided to really go within and find those traumas and those wounds and heal them. And miraculously, MS is gone. She has absolutely no signs of MS in her body, and the doctors are kind of baffled. And I think a common theme with the people that I coach and people that our other people, take through the process, doctors don't understand, and that's okay. But doctors don't always understand. They don't understand how you got better. I think the first step is that they will give you this diagnosis, they give you a prognosis, and it's all very negative and dark, right? And then you start to think, okay, maybe this is not true. Maybe there's some other form of treatment out there that I can pursue. And so you start to go on this path, right? And then next thing you know, you find a healer. You find someone who gifts you information that takes you through a transformation process. And then your body begins to heal, your mind begins to heal, your traumas begin to heal, your relationships start to heal. And then next thing you know, the doctors are saying, well, maybe you didn't have MS. Maybe you didn't have this, disease. Maybe it was something, maybe this brain tumor has been here your whole life. Like, they don't understand and they can't wrap their minds around it because it's not what they're taught. But that's okay. You now have a community that understands. You now have a community within Alternative Healthcare Solutions of people who believe unitedly that you can heal your life, that you can heal the relationships, you can heal the mindset, you can heal the disease, you can reverse things. Um, there's been so many testimonies, and I'm really excited about our testimonial hour, and I'm going to be building that up more and more. 2 weeks ago, we had someone on there who had had a heart attack, and he was literally in the middle of a heart attack when um, his teacher started to do some energy work and some healing work in him. And he went from healing from like middle of the heart attack to 6 hours later, the doctor saying, we're not really sure what's happening here because these numbers, there's no error, room for error in these numbers. There's no margin of error. And these numbers take 2 weeks to go down, and your numbers have already decreased significantly. So they basically released him. He was no longer having a heart attack. And that sent his world into a totally different direction. He was a pharmacist. And then he's like, I need to learn how to heal my body. And so he dove into the world of healing and spiritual journey. And prior to his heart attack, he had a massive divorce, and it had really traumatized him. So again, it's a reoccurring theme throughout my career, throughout my life, my entire life, that we have to heal the things inside of us. We have to heal the trauma. We have to heal, or we have to acknowledge those things and see it and find unconditional love for ourselves, find unconditional love in our situations and in our relationships, and understand that there's bigger energy out there. There is more power out there than we understand, and there's more power within us than we even grasp. So I will say that also, if you're joining us here and you're interested in being a healer, maybe you yourself are have gone through a transformation process, and you're now teaching and guiding people through how to reverse autoimmune diseases, or you're teaching people how to find their higher self, or you're teaching people how to transform your mind. We have a space for you here in our collective, so we're still taking applications. I will drop a link in the event chat for you to log on there and see what's happening and see how you can be involved and start teaching workshops as well. So that's us here at Alternative Healthcare Solutions, and I'm going to show you really quick. I'm going to give you. We've got a couple minutes left here, so I'm going to share with you um, our community space that we have, and that we've built, and kind of where to find it. This here is our community. Let me see if I'll pull it up here. Screen share it one more time. So right here, you're going to see our community. This is your place for healing. This is your place to see all of the people within our community, to learn how to heal, to hear these testimonies. So like I said, 2 o'clock today, here's Tanya. You're going to get all of our event reminders here. You're going to see where we have our tickets. So you're going to be able to go in there and grab yourself a ticket to attend the next health fair. Here, you're going to have a complete healer reference guide. You're going to be able to find healers near you, and you're going to see the newest members in the space, members who are online at the moment. You're going to be able to reach out and follow them and connect with them, and just make yourself known and start to communicate, and just dive deeper. So the ones that you will hear in our platform today, you'll also find them in this community. So you'll also see our testimonies. This is an area where if you have a testimony, please go in here and share it, because I think that we that gives so many people hope that maybe they're dealing with the same chronic problem that you have. Maybe they have a testimony, or you have a testimony that you can share, that they are now having hope because they see that you've overcome it, and they understand that you have a connection or a process, or something of that nature that helped you. So we're really trying to create that testimonial page where it's just encouragement. You can go on there and just find story after story of people who have overcome so many illnesses and trials and things of that nature. And then over here, you're going to see our replays. So these are all of our past events. All of our workshops will be recorded and downloaded and then placed inside of our community, so that you'll be able to go back and watch it. And this is part 1 of Eating for Your DNA with Amber Bender. This is the introduction of Vishad, which is a fantastic workshop that we did 2 weeks ago. The testimonial hour, that's the one that you're going to be able to go in there and hear the story of the man who had a heart attack. And then I've got a class workshop that I taught for probiotics for pennies last health fair. You'll be able to go in there and watch that replay and learn how to make your own probiotics. Yeah, so we've got a lot in here, and you're also going to have questions. Like if you have questions, you'll be able to go into this area, submit your questions, and our healers are going to go in there and be able to answer you, give you guidance, give you free downloads or free resources. Then we have our 10-minute health tips. Just a quick little space where you can just go in there and learn little things about, to help improve your overall life and family. And then you'll have your autoimmune reversal support group. You have your genetic disorder support group. You've got your healing relationship support group, and you've got your mindset transformation group. So all of this is meant for you to really find that community, like I said, of people who are in this together, that are cross-pollinating, and to help feed and nourish those who are seeking for alternative ways of healing. So I think that about wraps it up for me and this workshop today. I will drop this link here for you to join that community if you're interested. And I'll drop it in the event, in the event page here. For the people who are attending this event and they're wanting to join the community, it is $35 a month, and that gives you access to the health fair every single month. every event, and it gives you access to all of the healers on our platform. It gives you resources, all of their resources that they're providing you. And like I said, it gives you that community and people who have stories that you need to hear. So welcome today. I'm excited about today, and we're going to get started here. I think our next workshop is coming up here at 9 o'clock, and that would be Vashad. So yeah, thank you for attending, and we'll see you later today.